Hey guys, what's up? Mike here, and today we're rocking some Fairy Tale. Chapter 120, I think today's February the 4th. Yeah. This week's chapter was interesting to say the least. I mean, last week's chapter, I don't even want to get into it. I didn't get a chance to review it, but, there was a lot of Fairy Tale classic cliches going on. The whole Urza being able to magically lift her body off the ground with nothing but a arm usable and smash a meteor, then propel herself off that I'm getting too far into this, but you get the point, right? Last chapter was ridiculous. I still love Fairy Tale, and I'll get into that today, but yeah, let's just get started on today's chapter. So we start the chapter with Urza and Irene lying on the ground, where Irene is basically dead. She just killed herself by stabbing her, supposedly. I wouldn't be surprised if she tossed on a bandage and all of a sudden she's fine. But Urza says her final goodbyes to her mom, and then goes on to talk to Wendy a little bit. And she's pretty beat up. Like, I'll give her that. I mean, she's supposed to be destroyed right now. I mean, after what happened last chapter, she should be basically not able to move. But she seems fine and dandy for the face, but her body seems pretty torn up. Getting on with that, Wendy's probably just about to heal her. And she has no remorse, which I thought was cool, because if she was like, oh, my mom is dead, I feel so bad, even though she had never met her in her entire life, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Even though it is still her mom, but her mom was a piece of shit, right? She left her at Rosemary Village years and years and years ago, and even though we get this tragic, heartfelt backstory about Irene regretting all this and whatever and killing herself finally, which, I mean, okay. But we get Urza's loyalty to Fairy Tale, and she says, Makarov was my only father, and that's a good thing. I felt like that, they've said that a couple times now, but, Fairy Tale isn't about blood bonds. It's about who, is there for you and who cares about you as a family. And that's a good core aspect of this show. But anyways, it was a really sad moment when she went on to say, Makarov's my only father. And then Wendy's like, wait a minute, I don't feel him anymore. Where's his presence? And then Urza just kind of looks at her and like, yeah, he's dead. And it was a really sad moment. And it started to make me think, Makarov might actually not be coming back. Even though that's a stretch. I mean, but it's been chapter after chapter after chapter, and it just came out of nowhere. I'm not going to get too far into Makarov's death, but I felt like there's so many better places it could have been done, and it was just kind of at a place. I mean, for a character so memorable like Makarov, and who brought so much to the guild, to kill him off there instead of anywhere else, just it was sad. It was really sad and disappointing to say the least. Anyways, moving on. So the next scene, we switch over to the inside Natsu's head with Igniel, and it's some sort of fiery kind of background, and it kind of just shows you goes to show where Igniel was hiding all that time when Natsu was looking for him. It was inside this, kind of volcanic layer inside of Natsu's brain, which is weird, but I guess it makes sense. He's a dragon slayer. But even still, you remember when Igniel and Grandina were talking way back in the day, and they were talking in an atmosphere like this. So it's cool to see this again and kind of give us some closure on where the fuck this actually was. But anyways, we go into their conversation, and Natsu basically finds out, he's dying, and we found that out last chapter, and that there's two seeds within him, one dragon and one demon, as the chapter of the title says, dragon or demon. So the conversation goes on, and Igniel basically goes to tell Natsu that, you're about to die, and Natsu's like, well, there's so many things I still need to do. Igniel's like, okay, listen, here's the full story. There's two seeds in you, and if they fuse, you will die. So you gotta choose one. You gotta choose whether you're gonna be a dragon or whether you're gonna be a demon. And obviously Natsu, when you think about this from a perspective point, obviously the one choice that if he had to make one, it'd be dragon. He wouldn't choose to be a demon. He wouldn't choose to be Zaref's pawn. He would want to be like Igniel. He would want to use his Dragon Slayer power, but even though he still wants to be human. And then he goes on to say, I don't choose either one of those. I choose being human, which, God. It was great. It was a good moment for Natsu, and it goes with his character really well. He's stubborn, and he sticks to what he believes in. But at the same time, it was kind of bad. And don't get me wrong, this was a cool chapter and everything, but I was really disappointed after all that build-up, same with Makarov, after all that build-up for these seeds, and what will happen when, END comes out, or what happens when Natsu dragonizes. After all of that, it's just, oh, well, actually, I want to be human, so we're just going to destroy both these seeds. And it was his will the entire time, is what it appears upon. So when Igneo says choose, he doesn't choose either one. He chooses to be a human. He says, I'm Natsu Dragneel, I'm human, which it's cool, but it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense that the fact that just because he wanted to be human at that moment, both seeds just disappear, and all of a sudden he doesn't have these problems anymore, and bang, Natsu's back on the scene, baby. He's ready to kick some ass. It's just sad. At this part of the chapter, even with all my disappointment, I just find myself like trying to fulfill or theorize why Mashima would ever do something like this after building it up for literally the entire show and having Natsu as E&D the biggest reveal of the entire show. And now all of a sudden it's no problem. He just said that I want to be human, so bang, they're gone. And I'm sure it has something to do with magic, but it just doesn't make sense, you know? And it felt like Hiramashima really wrote himself into a corner, you know? All of a sudden he had this dragon seed this whole time, whereas Natsu had to have the dragons to get rid of. And then turns out he also had this demon seed from Zareth this whole time that was fighting against him to become END. And all this build up, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. There was just a certain lazy feel to Mashima's writing in this chapter. I mean, you know, anime should be about perseverance and, you know, earning your goals. And, you know, when you want a happy ending, yes, this is a show that needs to have a happy ending, or doesn't need to, but I mean, you expect it. I mean, it's a happy show, not a lot of characters die, and from his last work, Rave Master, you know, it had kind of a sad ending, so here Mashima's even said, you know, he wants to make this happy, and that's fine, you know, that's great. But if you just shove it in our faces and tell us, hey, you know, these guys are gonna be happy, and because they want to be. You know, Natsu's gonna be just human because he wants to be. You know, he's not gonna have any more problems just because that's what he believes in. And that's the core of Fairy Tail. Believing in things, yes, okay, that makes sense. But at the same time, when you believe in something, you don't just get it because you believe in it. You have to work for it, you know, you have to persevere for it. And that's something that Natsu, as a character, lacks a lot. Yes, he does these great fights, but he just gets these power-ups out of nowhere. And he gets, you know, just all this luck or whatever, you know, things just come to him and he gets to just do it. You know, just do it, Natsu. And he does, and he never really has to struggle too much for it, to be honest with you, and that's why his character really never gets any development. You know, you look back and he's the same Natsu as, you know, pretty much the first chapter, and it's a little bit disappointing, but I mean, again, that's just how the story's been written. So after the whole dragon demon scene, we get Natsu waking up beside Lucy, who is naked, like we remember in the last chapter, which you get a little fan service there. I'm okay with that. But at the same time, we get a little development from the Nalu perspective. You know, Lucy was really, really worried about Natsu, and I think that's good. It's about time Hiro started showing Lucy's feelings for Natsu, but I think it's about time he starts reciprocating it both ways. I mean, yeah, Lucy was so worried about Natsu, but then again, he was just his same old happy-go-lucky self, ready to go kick some ass after this. He didn't really be like, you know, hey, Lucy, I was worried about you too. Yeah, he's trying to develop the relationship, but he's just not doing it in a two-way street. You know, conversations are a two-way street just for like relationships, you know. Both people have to like each other, and if Natsu doesn't really show any feelings for Lucy, it doesn't feel real, and it really doesn't feel real yet. So if you just, besides like just accidentally falling on her and grabbing her tits or whatever, you know. So I would like a little bit more development there. But we also get to find out that Lucy knows about Natsu's connection with Zareth and how he might actually die if Zareth were to die, which adds to Lucy's worry about him, I guess, obviously. But Natsu jumps up and says he's all ready to go, you know, he's ready to fight. So as Natsu's waking up, he recalls that he maybe have done something bad to Urza and Gray. So it's good that he remembers his outrage of END even a little bit. You know, it goes to show that it wasn't full-on END, and Gray wasn't, you know, going toe-to-toe with real END. So I'm looking forward to see maybe him apologizing, maybe seeing Gray get some development. That's really what I'm looking forward to, is if Natsu feels like he should apologize, and then Gray says, you know what, it was me. You know, I fucked up, and I shouldn't be trying to kill my best friend. No matter what. So as the chapter comes to close, we get a kind of confirmation on Irene's death, or at least her incapacitated state, because Universe 1 gets undone, and this is a big game changer. I mean, everything is going to get moved back to where it was before, or a while ago, I guess, and well, I mean, Lucy and Natsu actually end up in Lucy's place, and other couple characters end up in places that they were before. Even August realizes that, oh shit, you know, August is down, and or not August, Irene is down, and now I'm the only big dog left. So I think that he'll probably have to deal with that in a bit. But we get a nice shot of Magnolia, as it's turning back to its original state. But the big question about the whole Universe 1 thing is, that means Acnologia is going to be back. And I'm worried, because next chapter seems like a chapter that he could definitely make an appearance. But without Natsu as END, and without Larcade, who's there to stop him? The really only option is Fairy Heart right now. So you think that Zeref is going to try and make a final push for Fairy Heart? Or it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next chapter, or when Acnologia shows up especially, because he's about to cause some serious game-changing plans. So last but not least, we have Lucy and Natsu back at her house, just chilling and ready to make an impact. And you gotta love that classic Natsu fist, fire fist, ready to go. But even still, I give this chapter probably around a 6 out of 10, even if that. I almost want to go lower, but you know, I do love Fairy Tail, and as I was gonna say before, you know, I started out on this anime, and it doesn't have a special place in my heart. But that doesn't mean I can't not see the flaws that it has. And I've had a lot of great things done in Fairy Tail that I thought were great. But then again, I also thought that there's, if not equal, if not greater, things that Mashima has done to make it a poor story. And it just has so much potential. That's the part that makes me sad. And anybody who still watches Fairy Tail watches it not because of its flaws. They know about the flaws, right? They watch it because they enjoy the characters. They want to see where it goes, you know. And I hope that Mashima realizes, like, this is his big piece, you know, and he should really put just a little bit more effort into thinking about how things will turn out. And I think if he did that, you know, he could really make his story a lot better, you know. If he did something with for example, if he did something with the Dragon Seed and the Demon Seed, whereas if he were to write something where Natsu actually just didn't snap his fingers and have them disappear, where he had to actually deal with the transformations or actually pick one. So if he were to pick one, then he'd probably just lose his humanity and be able to go to that one direction and see where he comes back, or if he comes back from that. And if he was, that'd be a lot better, or give him a lot more development, you know, than just having him snap his fingers and not do it. You know, if he were to go Demon and go END and then realize, you know, his crazy stupid ways are just not right, and he needs to change. He needs to be more careful, and he needs to be able to control himself better. If he were to do that and realizes as END that he needs to do that, that would give him a lot more development than, like I said, just snapping his fingers. So that's all I got for today, guys. If you stuck around this long, again, I appreciate it. It's my second video on this channel. If you liked it, give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a comment especially. I want to see what you guys have to say. Give me some tips and tricks, and I'll talk to y'all later. See you in the next one. Peace.